Many of us know Dr. Seuss, who wrote short stories far and wide, like the hat-wearing cat that's filled with pride. A majority of those people are also aware that a few of his short stories have been adapted to feature films. That's fair. There are 5 movies, and this is my test, to rank those big screen stories from worst to best. These movies have more than the rhymes that are on each book, so keep the spoiler alert in mind as you take a look. My opinions are opinions, this is my point of view, meaning if you disagree, make your own list that's fit for you. Hey, I'm Owen, the fiction fanboy, and here's my top 5 Dr. Seuss movies. Joy! The Cat in the Hat. Movie versions of 5-minute stories won't completely be the originals, but if Dr. Seuss came back from the dead to live for one day and saw this mess, he'd yell out, "What have you done?" Why? Because there are numerous innuendos, like the mom telling Sally not to chew tobacco. What about, "Don't burn the house down"? And you could tell me, well, kids' movies nowadays get away with adult humor so adults can be entertained as much as kids. And yeah, that's true. However, the crew went too far here. Also, Mike Myers was not fit to play the title character, as this was one of his worst performances. Well, the only saving grace I'm willing to give it is some of the not-so-inappropriate jokes were actually funny. Still, The Cat in the Hat was so bad, Seuss's widow announced that there shan't be any more live-action adaptations of the OG handiwork. Warner Brothers, I hope you'll give us a proper retelling of the classic Cat. The Grinch. Shocker, shocker. Grinch 2018 is my least favorite animated Seuss flick. My problem isn't Benedict Cumberbatch going from a super sorcerer to a Christmas-hating grump. It's that the way he's been made to portray the Grinch in this version of the tale doesn't sell it since it's lacking in mean spirit. He's probably a bully and nothing more than that. He does all he can to display his desire to not be around Who's during the holiday season, and his timing on planning to steal the season is better executed. Sure. He's not the only character I question, though, as Cindy wants to trap Santa instead of trying to guess when he'll arrive to meet him. And in case you didn't notice, Illumination is behind the recreation, Pharrell Williams is the narrator. There is some good in the film, with the ending being the most touching part of it all, yet this felt like a Christmas cash grab with music that's not very ideal. At least Audrey Giesel had a decent job before death. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. While the animated Grinch was fine and the live-action cat was unpleasant, we've come to the movies I actually do like, and I swear nostalgia isn't the reason for these rankings. Unlike the remake I talked about earlier, the Grinch is actually pretty mean, and can be considered scary or funny, depending on how much you like Jim Carrey portraying the green guy. Aside from his heart being 2 sizes too small, we don't really perceive the meaning of Grinch's refusal to celebrate Christmas until now. Perhaps if you think about the Grinch's backstory. Whether there is CGI involved or not, Cindy is sweet as she has a soft spot for the Grinch for practically the entire runtime. The narrator is also good, and so is the soundtrack. I may as well be one of those people who can call this to be a Christmas classic, as it's 20 years old and aged well. Minus a thing or two, like the scheme not being thought of until near the end. The Lorax. How come the Lorax is number 2, you ask? Simple. What I see in this film is taking the primary story and stretching it so it has more of a beginning to know the boy's name and where he comes from, a middle where one visit wouldn't be enough for the story on what happened, and an end to know if planting the tree will make the Lorax and Company return. Something Illumination normally can't have their motion pictures without is fart jokes. So you gotta admit, they have an adequate amount of respect for the beloved author. The colors and songs were quite entertaining, with How Bad Can I Be as the most memorable song. You could tell me that the movie didn't need a villain, yet without O'Hare, we wouldn't have gotten a message about not letting politics make you pay for air, along with realizing the consequences for destroying the forest just to have your invention be a success. Oh, and voice acting is usually kudos for me. Having said that, only one Dr. Seuss film is a masterpiece. Horton Hears a Who. Yes sirree, the first animated Dr. Seuss movie remains as the greatest. Of all the theatrical interpretations of the Nimble narratives, this one has been the most faithful, even if some content was added to be a silver screen showing. The anime-looking sequence may have been random, for example, but it was humorous. Speaking of humor, the cast consists of comedians like Jim Carrey, Steve Carell, Will Arnett, Seth Rogen, and more. A major difference that makes this film stand out from the others is the studio behind the film. The movies that were done by Universal received mostly mixed and negative reviews, whereas this one was made by 20th Century Fox. Blue Sky Studios' animation fits the CGI version of The Jungle of Newell and Whoville. One downer I gotta mention, though, is the use of the word boob does overstay its welcome. The sour kangaroo definitely has her sourness, making her a great, necessary antagonist. No excessive adult jokes, no extra politicization, no characters that aren't themselves. What else do you want from the computer-animated translation of an elephant that wants to escort a speck-sized town to safety? To learn that a person's a person, no matter how small, I suggest this film for a Dr. Seuss-themed family movie night. Want more fiction? Then please do what my friends say, comment below, and follow me on Instagram for thumbnail previews and teasers for upcoming YouTube videos. Fiction Fanboy has finished this video. Everyone keep fantasizing, and good night-o.